This one is for all the rockers out there. Netflix's new film, Metal Lords, sees two teen outcasts join forces to perform in the Battle of the Bands. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Yes, welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new Netflix film, Metal Lords. And it is available right now to stream for you. Before we get into this film and my review, I want to welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video and my channel. Please consider subscribing. We are headed to 1,000 subscribers. Would love to get you on board for that. And as well, like this video down below. That always helps the channel out as well, just by liking it. And if you stay tuned to the end of my video, I'll give you some links to some other cool Netflix movies that have aired recently. Let's talk about Metal Lords. The only person in terms of the high school kids that you might recognize here is Jaden Martell, who was the kid in Knives Out. He was in Aloha years ago, that horrible Cameron Crowe movie. He's done a few horror movies, so he is a name and face you may recognize. The other two, his sort of companions in this film, Isis Hainsworth, not familiar with her, and then Aiden Greensmith. He looks familiar, but I'm not sure really where he's from either. But basically, this movie is about high school outcasts who join forces to form a metal band in the hopes of performing in the Battle of the Bands. But of course, as they are outcasts, a lot of things happen from point A to point B, a lot of bullying, a lot of sort of infighting with the band as well. And we learn, about these kids a little bit. Some of the adults I did recognize. Brett Gelman is here, sort of a nice character actor. And then Joe Manganiello from Magic Mike and many other things. He's here as well. So I didn't quite know what to expect with this. With the Netflix coming-of-age movies, there's it really runs the gamut, between some of the better ones like To All the Boys I've Ever Loved to, things like The Kissing Booth and Tall Girl and things that are just, almost unwatchable in some respects. This one sort of falls somewhere in the middle, and there's, some pros and cons here for sure. Jaden Martell, I think, is a really good up-and-coming actor. It's funny because I feel like we've been watching him for so long. I mean, Aloha was 7 years ago, maybe, and he was the kid in St. Vincent with Bill Murray. That was many, many years ago. And I was thinking, man, is he like in his 20s still playing, like a high school junior? He's only 18, I think is what I read. So, no, he's still got a few good high school movies probably in him. And he does always seem to play sort of, Knives Out was a little different, but for the most part, he plays sort of the more shy, reserved kind of a kid. And he does that here as well in that archetype. And he has this best friend that has been friends with many years, but they're both kind of school outcasts, and they only sort of have each other. And then we learn about this girl that can play an instrument, but does she play metal? That is yet to be determined. They sort of try to woo her into their group so they can really be more of a trio, more of a competitive force at the Battle of the Bands. But as is the case with a lot of this stuff, yes, like I mentioned, there's, infighting and there's outfighting as well. A lot of bullying stuff here. And, some parents and principals and teachers that perhaps don't understand these kids. And at the same time, the kids themselves are kind of, being a bit jerky themselves. So, all right, maybe, we root sometimes for the parent, or we sympathize at least with maybe the parent or the teacher sometimes as well. So in that respect, it actually is a pretty solid portrayal of high school. And not only that, but the kids who love metal. About 10 years ago when I was working at Hot Topic, there was a group of, at the time, like 16, 17-year-olds that came in all the time, and they were huge metalheads. And, as soon as they turned 18, they got all these metal tattoos. And it's still a very driving force in a lot of their lives. Metal is a strong, strong force because it does sort of bring in a lot of the outcasts. When I was growing up, metal was really just kind of starting out. Like Metallica was still kind of underground, and then they broke big like when I was in middle school. And now metal, is a lot more accepted, but it's still, kind of underground in the sense that it's got this strong community. And I think that this movie does a really good job of representing that, with how important music, and specifically metal music, can be to some kids. And that's something that, goes back to even Freaks and Geeks, did that. Not quite heavy metal, but things like Rush and Led Zeppelin and stuff, the characters really glommed onto. And so that is a thread that I don't think ever can be done enough, because it's not something that we see a lot, So I like that. However, this movie also has a lot of problems, including that there's a lot of threads sort of going through that maybe we don't ever get resolution on, number one. And number two, you really have to suspend disbelief for a few big chunks of this movie for it to at all be, like, enjoyable, because there's a lot of unrealistic, I don't want to call them plot holes, but they're just things that would never happen in reality, right down really to the big climactic, fist in the air kind of scene. So I'm a little bit torn on that one, but it's kind of like School of Rock in the sense that, all right, if you suspend a little bit of disbelief, I think actually that movie's probably more accurate. But in any event, I think there'll be some nice Easter eggs for the metalheads out there. I won't say who is in this, but a lot of classic metal people from the 80s and 90s appear as themselves in this film, in sort of like a dream sequence. And that will be fun for metalheads out there. I think if you're not that much into it, like, it's not like it's Ozzy Osbourne or somebody that everybody knows. I knew them, but if you're not a metal fan, I think it will kind of be lost on you, which I think is a little bit, I don't know, disappointing maybe. Like, it's cool for the metalheads, but I'd like to see this movie be a little more accessible than just to people that like that style of music. So overall, though, I do think this is a pretty enjoyable movie. Like I said, it falls sort of somewhere in between the best high school movies on Netflix and the worst, leaning a little bit more towards the good side of things. I will leave Metal Lords with a B-. All right, a lot of new movies coming out now that we're gearing up into summer. So look for a lot of standalone movie reviews in the coming weeks. I'm going to hit that new Nicolas Cage movie, The Unbearable, what's it called? The Unbearable something, Weight of Massive Talent, where he's kind of playing himself. That should be fun. I still got to hit Fantastic Beasts and some of the other recent movies. So anyway, that will do it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.